name's Crystal Wood. I am the co-founder of You Grow Girl.
I'm Angie Payne and I'm the founder of Equine Enrichment.
And we are here today to talk about equine assisted therapy, as that is something that we will be incorporating into our Time to Heal retreat. So why not bring in an expert and somebody who's been doing it for years and years and years to talk about this beautiful healing modality for survivors.
I am an equine gestalt coach. What does that mean? Well, I partner with horses and I use the gestalt methodology, which is very much a somatic based methodology of trauma healing. So I've been doing that for 9 years. I graduated from the Touch by Horse program in Colorado in 2012 and have been doing it ever since. I work in Alberta, just outside of Calgary, at a ranch called Raptor U7 Ranch and Wellness Center.
Do you work with mostly children or adults, or what's?
I work mostly with adults, but I have a ton of kids on my client list right now. It's very rewarding, you know, when kids are coming to heal at such a young age,
I bet.
rather than holding on to
Because
that pain for such a long time.
Yeah, then you're not going through like 25 years of them holding on to that pain. What a beautiful thing if a child has experienced trauma and they can immerse themselves in a healing modality like this right off the bat, right?
And they're so open, and they're, you know, they haven't gotten rooted in their strategies, and they're just so willing to talk about it and move through it and do some crazy things I ask them to do. And they look at me like, okay, well, okay.
Well, their minds are probably just more open to it. They haven't had 20 years of like pushing everything down, right? We become so enrooted in our survival like techniques, and that you almost get to a point you don't even recognize them as that anymore. It just becomes like part of your normal life. That's how you exist, how you function from day to day. You don't even recognize it as part of the connection to the trauma that there has.
And the truth is, Crystal, you know, those strategies have been put there for a reason. And so many people, I think, want to get rid of that strategy, but really, what if we could have a relationship with it? And what if we could honor it in a way that says, thank you for keeping me safe, or as tears me up when I think about it, but you know, thank you for the times that you've kept me safe. And that I'm gonna explore some other parts of myself now, but that I don't want you to go very far. For example, my strategy was always to be silent.
Okay.
And so my silent part of me isn't very far away a lot of times, right? It's like, okay, I kind of need you today. I need to be silent today because I need to feel safe.
And that's your,
And so having that relationship, but until you understand it, until we understand where that came from, you don't have a relationship with it. You're just trying to get rid of it because it's stopping you from maybe living the life you want.
that you want, and then you attach so much like shame and blame to it. Even as you're speaking about this, because you said your thing is your silence. Well, mine is the opposite. My strategy was anger, because if I felt angry, I felt powerful.
Right.
And so just how you were describing it, but I carried so much shame for my anger and my temper, and just the way you're describing it, I got like goosebumps thinking about, wow, I can have that, but I can just keep it over here. Right. And there probably is times where I need to check into that anger because I need to feel powerful. So it doesn't mean I need to project that onto other people, but it doesn't need to be a part of myself that I necessarily shame and want to.
Right. And what did you thank it for? What can you thank it for? So many things, right?
Yeah.
It kept you safe.
It kept me safe.
At the end of the day, that's what our strategies do. It's really important for me to help people find that and find what they're thankful to that for.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of wanting to just get rid of it.
Get rid of it, actually honor it and be grateful for it. How do the horses help people or help your clients kind of recognize those different things?
So many different ways.
It's like you're like, you just asked me questions I could talk about for an hour.
Yeah, I can probably tell you stories all day long. But I think, you know, the three things that I think about when working with the horses is that they provide huge safety. They provide a sense of connection, and they provide acceptance. A lot of times my work happens outside the round pen. The horse is in the round pen, listening to. So it starts just like a talk therapy session.
Okay.
But I'm really watching my horses and trying to open myself up and let go of my own agenda.
Right. Yeah.
To allow them to tell me where this needs to go.
Right.
And so sometimes the work ends up happening with them. Sometimes it ends up happening outside of the round pen, and then they become the bow on the experience. So, talking about anger, for example,
Right.
we have lots of really fun tools to help people get the anger out, because how many people have been told, oh, women shouldn't be angry.
Yeah, right.
Well, women are angry. That is the truth.
Oh yeah, there's some pissed off
Right?
women I know.
There's some pissed off women.
Yeah.
It's an emotion just like any other emotion.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm able to get somebody to that place where I'm going to be able to help them release that anger, I don't do it in with the horses.
Right. Okay.
But it's interesting because I'll do it away from the horses and they'll actually move closer to it.
Wow.
As if they know that that's exactly what needed to happen.
That's the work that needs.
And so then after that, we fill that space with other things. So your anger, once you released it, there's a space there for you to fill it up with, well, when was that time when I felt confident?
Right.
And so that work happens in with the horses. You'll see horses where when somebody says something that's not quite the truth, they will walk away or they'll turn their butt on somebody. And that's a really good indication for me to ask a different question so that I can help my client experience their deep truth.
Right.
That's when horses can really connect to that.
It's as if they recognize what the person needs to, what you need to help that person with before the person even recognizes it. Yeah, it's like this phenomenal kind of like energetic.
It's a beautiful partnership.
Knowing that they have, right?
And I'll have an agenda and they'll be like,
They'll be
we're
like,
actually not going to do that
Nice
today.
try. That's not how we're rolling.
That's not
today.
gonna
Yeah.
happen. I do work with people also, traumatic losses.
Okay.
But I had a client come in, and I knew that she had just traveled and was saying goodbye to her grandmother. And as it turned out, I had my boy horse Romeo and my girl horse Fancy in the arena. So as I talked to her, I realized that Grandma and Grandpa were more the parents than Mom and Dad. So they were her safe place, and that Grandpa had already left.
Okay.
So I sent her in the round pen with my two horses, and Romeo came up and put his nose on her heart. And she said to me, wow, he reminds me of my grandpa. Strong and big, yet so gentle.
Yeah.
So I was able to help her to say some things to her grandpa that she'd never been able to say. I kept seeing my girl horse Fancy try to get in, and Romeo would pin his ears and shoo her away. And so I finally just said, it'll be your turn. Just hang tight. And so once Romeo was finished, he walked away, like, we're done. So I simply said to her, I'm very aware that your grandma isn't going to be on the planet for very much longer. And the tears started to fall, and my girl horse laid down in front of her, like flat out on her side. And it was almost like she was giving her an opportunity to sit by her bedside one more time.
And if you know anything about horses, it's not normal for them to just go lay down and be in that vulnerable of a...
Is there something wrong with my horse? But she just laid flat out. I think it was for about 20 minutes. And the lady sat beside her. I said, if you feel safe. Yeah, it seemed like it was a safe thing to do.
Yeah.
And so she sat beside her, and I could, she kissed her with her face, and Fancy just lay very still, and we went through some of the statements that I use for grief.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
Powerful.
And so powerful. And then once the energy shifted, my client got up, and Fancy got up and shook, and she released and walked away, and that was the end.
Wow. Oh, that's such a beautiful story. It made me think about, like, so the retreat that I attended, we didn't have the equine assisted therapy, but I really felt like that part was missing. And when I went and did it separately myself, I had an experience where I had kind of hit my rock bottom, and I was not in a good place emotionally, but I couldn't figure out why. I couldn't place what was going on inside me, and it was the lead mare that essentially showed me that it was my confidence I had lost my confidence, and that was what was rattling me so much and shaking me so much. So this lead mare wouldn't let me get anywhere near her. Like I was supposed to try and like put a halter on, like nothing. Like every time I walked towards her, she was walking off. Like it was like, I kept looking at the lady like, are you sure this is how it's supposed to go? Like this horse doesn't like me. Like I don't know if this is working. But she had me get to a place where I was just visualizing a time in my life where I felt the most confident, where I had the most confidence. And within like 30 seconds of having my eyes closed and visualizing, this lead mare comes up to me and same thing, just lies down. And like just like rolled over, and it was like, yes, that's what we were trying to tell you, right? And it's just amazing to try and describe the experience. I mean, we can tell the stories, but until you've actually like experienced it firsthand, and just, I keep wanting just to say the power of the energy of the horse, just the power of the experience with the horses is like, you can't even, me and Angie were just talking before, like it's hard to even put it into words.
So hard.
And like you said, every story is going to be different. Yeah. Like no matter what you think or how you think your agenda is going to be, the horses, the horses are like, no, we got this. This is our job.
That's right. And one horse will show up differently for three different people. You know, and so you cannot make this shit up.
I know, that's what I love though. That's like my favorite part. It's like, because people think we're crazy when we like tell these stories. They're like, oh yeah. I'm like, no, but this is actually happening. Like this is real. It happens, and it's amazing, and it has the power. Horses have the power to help us as human beings heal beyond any capacity that we would ever even be able to articulate or think of in our mind, in our cognitive thought, right? Because they just come from a different place.
You know, they know the cycle of trauma, and they know the energy cycle of that because they can experience it several times a day.
Right.
But they don't hold on to it. They don't go, so something moves and you'll see horses go, oh my God, what's going on? But they don't stand there going, so silly.
Like that, or that scared me,
Don't, that's nothing. They don't try to talk themselves out of it. It's like, holy crap, we're gonna die.
Run.
And they start running. They don't think about it. They don't second guess themselves. They don't, you know, they don't try to stuff it down. They just run, and they run, and they run, and they run until one of them stops, and they look, and what they're looking for is to assess whether they're safe.
Right.
Once they know they're safe, because it was just a plastic bag.
It's
like, we're gonna die. No, we're not, we're fine. But what you see them do is release it. You'll see them yawning, you will see them shake, they will lick, chew, sometimes they'll get down and roll. They get up and they go back to eating. The whole cycle of the energy of trauma has been completed. Oh, we can't do that, right? So a child that is experienced sexual assault, they can't scream, they can't run, they can't complete the cycle. So it just
get it out of their
closes
body.
down. It gets stuck in their body, wherever that is. Horses point out the places where trauma is stuck. That, I think, is the beauty of horses, is that they will point it out. That's where it's stuck. That's what we need to work on, to allow the completion of that part.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
So something happens to that child, woof, it gets stuck.
Yes.
They hold it in there, and then they move through their life and something else happens. It gets stuck. Well, pretty soon, that body implodes. People get sick. How many Indigenous women have fibromyalgia?
Oh, yes.
Because their entire body has been holding on to trauma, intergenerational trauma too. And so my job and the horse's job is to help them go to those places and complete that.
That's like.
So in the Gestalt, they say that once you complete a piece, so we call it pieces of work, once you complete that piece, it will never come back again. That doesn't mean other layers don't come up.
It's true, but I believe that. I believe once you heal a piece, it's done. It's just like you know it too, because I've had a few experiences, and again, like you said, doesn't mean I don't have 100 other layers.
Right.
But there's pieces that I've come through, that I've come out on the other side of, and I just know that piece is done. It feels like you're complete. Because if I think about it, some of the pieces that I know that I have been able to actually physically release from myself and come full circle and end and stuff, it's like, yeah, it's like you want to be the horse who just takes a big yawn.
That's right.
And just like rest.
And
you're
the
just
next
done
time
with
that
part.
thing happens, you respond differently.
You do.
You don't react, you respond, you know that
You
part
do.
is
And
done.
you just like recognize it right away. And you're just like, oh, I got this now.
You don't,
Like that's not gonna faze me now.
well, because the new thing that's happening isn't layered with old stuff.
Right.
And so you're able to show up differently over here with this new thing that happened.
Yeah.
Because you're not carrying.
Because you're not carrying the whole load of the other.
If anybody out there knows about the chakra system, they are mastered.
Masters. Telling you what chakras you have blocked.
Totally masters. Some horses will do the whole, they'll scan the whole body and you'll actually see them go side to side.
Wow.
They'll back into somebody, they'll bring their heart, they'll go to the other side, they'll come over your head, they'll check here, they'll check here. Like they go through the whole thing. And then they wait. And my horses don't do this, but they'll wait until they feel a shift.
To us, in our brains and in our minds, like that's our senses. We can smell, we can hear, but like there's a sense that a horse has that we don't even have the capacity to understand it. But it is essentially, I believe, like another sense. Like, oh, to them, the same way sight for us is like we can see everything. It's like they have this other sense that we do not have, and they see everything just in a different way.
If they didn't have that sense of that wolf coming through, they will know from way out there if that wolf is hungry or if it's just passing through.
Crazy.
Right? So I can go out to the pasture and be like, hey guys, and Romeo looks at me like, oh no, thank you. Right?
He's like, no, you're not gonna fool me with that smile. Like I got your number right now.
Lord, that is so scary. But the minute I drop in and go, okay, I'm having a bad day. I could just cry right now. He's right there.
He's like,
oh
okay.
yeah, you can snot all the
Oh, I love
day.
it. It's like they're like truth detectors, right? They truly are like truth detectors. And when you've experienced trauma, sometimes you don't even recognize your own truth. And so to be able to have this majestic, beautiful, powerful animal without you even speaking a word to them, show you things about yourself and like where you're storing your trauma and where your blocks are, and if you're being honest with your feelings and stuff. Like this animal can literally show you all that. It's amazing.
And then the next part to that, I think, is that they allow space for it to be talked about, or for tears to come. Sometimes for the first time in a very long time, but it's because they create this unbelievably safe space.
Right.
Of like, I know for sure they don't walk out to the pasture and go, holy, you should have heard what I heard. They just don't.
Yeah.
They just don't do that.
Yes.
And it's received with, maybe people would think I'm crazy to say horses have compassion, but it's received with such compassion. When I watch my horses, I hope that someday I can hold space even a little bit as well as they hold space. That's kind of the way I look at it.
There's no magic horses here yet, but they're coming, and I can just feel it.
A lot of magic will happen.
A
here
lot of
in
magic,
Bristol.
yeah.
A lot for sure. I can feel it already. I'm so excited
I'm
for you
so
and your vision and the mission that you've set out for yourself.
Oh, I'm just so excited that I met you and to have you help me with all of this and be a part of this. I think it's just going to be amazing. It's just one of those like soul connections. I just felt it right away.
I think
with
so
you.
too.
Yeah, this is one of those beautiful things. Well, thank you so much for sitting here and having this conversation with me. And
It's beautiful.
that was all.